Hello everybody, doing yet more work on the John Deere 350B. Today I'm going to be doing one of those while I'm in there jobs. Got it apart for the steering clutch, but since I have the track off, might as well do this track adjuster too. Partly just because, again, the track is off, but this piece of rubber here, that used to be a wiper in there, and that's coming out. So it has seen better days, so let's take this apart. So the first step is to remove this cylinder and rod from the idler, and you remove these 4 bolts here. Unfortunately, these bolts are starting to turn round rather than hexagonal, so this will be a fight. But once this is off, roll this forward. You see I have the track pulled up out of the way with some creative rigging there. So I had an idea, and not only was it an idea, I think it was a good one. I thought it was a bad idea to mess with those bolts. That would just be a headache and then some. I mean, they're not even hexagonal, for Christ's sake. So I said, let me just pressurize this with grease and pump the piston right out of it. First I tried using some blocks and a bar and just prying the cylinder off the piston. That wasn't happening. So I probably went through about 2 tubes of grease and just pumped the piston right out. And you see I wrapped it with some protective covering there. And then I had to free the spring from the piston. Now it is just not even a press fit. It's actually, let's see, now I'm looking at it, it's slightly tapered, but it was just in there. There's a socket that receives it in here, and all I did, I just rotated this around a couple times, and I angled the piston like that and held it with a bar so it just kind of get bound up in this hole. And I beat this washer here with a sledgehammer, and I rotated it, bound up the piston rod again, beat it with a sledgehammer, a little bit of oil, it eventually came free. Now, from my little bit of reading that I've done about these, I was going to buy a seal prior to taking this apart, but I didn't, because when I was about to buy the seal, some sellers on eBay mentioned 2 different kit part numbers. One part number was like just the seal, and the other part number was a seal and a backup ring, and you have to make sure you know what kind of adjuster you have. And there's one type that is specific to a certain age range and older, but the thing is, with equipment like this, you have no idea if 15-20 years ago that adjuster was replaced and now it's got the new style or the old style or whatever. So just take it apart, especially if you're not in a rush for it. Take it apart, see what you have. So here's the replacement seal kit. There's the dust seal, the main piston seal, and in there's the check ball, which, as it turns out, my adjuster didn't even have the check ball in it. Now the first thing, at least on mine anyway, the cylinder was super crusty, and the outer surface of this seal was still stuck in there, in the cylinder. So depending on the condition of your machine, just give a real close check. I hit this with a Dremel grinding wheel real quick, just make sure to get a nice clean shiny surface. And I dug all the grease out of there, so I won't be fighting the grease as I'm pushing the piston back in. Of course, I'll lubricate it with a light coating of grease later. So this is how the manual says to do it. Of course, there's special driver tools and compressor tools and everything, none of which I have, and I don't intend on buying or using them. But we'll get crafty. Although I am happy that I did read the manual, because it said to install this onto the piston rather than pressing this or driving it into the cylinder and then later pushing this through the rubber part of the seal. And I guess that just facilitates assembly, so I'll follow their directions. So this goes on first. It goes with the lip of the seal. This is the lip side here, going this way. Because this isn't an oil seal holding in pressure, it's a dust seal wiper. So it's holding out the elements outside. Now this is pretty badly pitted. This chrome is supposed to come to about here. And you can get these cylinders or these pistons new. They're about $130, $140, but I'm not going to buy one because this isn't a sealing surface here. This is the seal. And also, when the track was a little bit loose, this seal on the cylinder was right about here. So when I tighten the track just right, it'll probably be on this nice shiny part of the piston. So I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of lubrication on here. Oh, that went on fine. There's a slight little chamfer here, so that seal went on just fine. Now this seal I think is going to require a little bit of cussing and swearing and hollering because it is quite stiff and it was a challenge to get off, so I think it might be tough to get on too, but we'll see. Now of course you see there's a cup, like a U-cup cross section in there. The pressure from the grease pushes on here and expands this cup, expands it against here and expands it into the cylinder wall. So this is how it goes. If you go like that, the grease is just going to push by. Years ago, I used to watch Mythbusters, and Jamie Heineman, one of the guys there, one of his mottos was, "When in doubt, lubricate." And I haven't watched that show in years, but that is one of the sayings that I still enjoy saying because it is very true. Because lubrication almost always makes your life easier, with a few small exceptions. So anyway, let's see how easy this goes on. Alright, let's double hand it. The proper driver tool is like a long gradual cone. Got it! Ha! Alright. Again, this chamfer helps. You would never have been able to do that otherwise. Now is a bad time to realize you put it on backwards. But these kits, kit was like $17, so it's really not the end of the world if you screw it up. Alright, let's see. Oh. There we go. I don't know if you were able to see my technique, but just like getting that piston seal on the piston, you can't go straight, you gotta go cockeyed. But that's that. So shove it in a little further. Oh, if I can. Man, that's tight. Tight, tight, tight. Well, I guess that's good, it's supposed to be tight. Alright, I think at this point I'm going to scrape this grease out of here because some of the grease is being smooshed out that I put on there. And clean everything up, Indian head, and drive this seal in. Now I don't have any sort of sleeve or piece of tubing or pipe that's big enough to fit around there. So I'm just going to try my luck. I'm just going to use a punch and very gently work it around. Kind of like lug nuts, just go opposite, sort of. Unless one side starts riding up higher. Then give a little more attention to that side. Now I'm just putting the edge of the punch on the edge of the seal. I'm going to drive it all the way down until it hits the shoulder. There we go. That is how to rebuild a track adjuster. Okay, so I pumped it full of grease, and then the grease started coming out, and I gave it a couple more pumps, and there were a couple air bubbles that kind of popped out, and it seems pretty good now. Nice clean grease is coming through. So let's put that check ball in there. Here's the check ball bolt and lock nut. And we'll just get that started and send it in there. I'm working left-handed, this is a little challenging. Now I'll tighten this down till it seals, pump some more grease in there till I see the piston move just a little bit, so I know that everything is the way it should be. But I still want to leave it as compressed as possible because I still do have to get this track back on. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how to rebuild a track adjuster on a John Deere 350B. If you have the other style, I believe the early style track adjuster where there's a seal and then a backing ring, you put it on the same way, you just install a backing ring as well. You know, it's pretty straightforward. I'm sure you can figure it out. But that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps some of you people out there working on your own John Deere 350B or straight 350 or C or whatever. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos of this machine. I'm doing some work on it. I got some videos already up and there's some more coming. There's the final drive waiting to go fully back together and back on the machine. So thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for more.